Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I'm the founder of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole: Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery. On this podcast, I share my experience, strength, and hope from recovery. I don't support or endorse any particular 12-step recovery fellowship, and I don't claim to speak for any of them either. My hope is that you will find my words helpful in some way, whether you're in recovery or not. This is episode 81, Something Came Up versus Something Happened. I went to yoga the other day, which, by the way, was only my second time at an in-person class since quarantine. And my sweetheart texted me on the way that he was running late. And I saw the message right before I entered the studio. Well, he didn't show up. So my mind did the thing that I think a lot of people's minds do, which was to try to figure out why he wasn't there. And my thoughts went down the road of negativity, where I started thinking something must have happened to him. As time went by in the yoga class and I began to focus on the present moment and being in my body, which is why I was there, I had the thought pop up, something must have come up. Notice the difference. Something came up as opposed to something happened. And I was like, oh my God, what a mind shift. I couldn't believe the difference in what that did to my emotions. Something came up, was like, okay, well, maybe he got a phone call and decided to take it. Maybe he hit a bunch of traffic and decided not to keep going because it would be too late when he got there. And those are perfectly innocent things. But when I think something happened, it's not perfectly innocent. I think things like he had an accident, he's going to die, they're not going to know to call me because what if his phone got smashed, and all that sort of thing. So I decided I totally need to do a podcast on this because that shift right there made such a difference for me that I really think it's a helpful suggestion for other people. I know that before recovery, when my mind went all over the place and ran rampant, I would do a lot of what I called catastrophizing. Now I call it living into the wreckage of the future. I'm sure you're familiar. And it's where you go down this rabbit hole of negativity, thinking through all of the fucked up shit that's going to happen in the future and how awful things are going to be. And what that does is it almost prepares us for a crappy future by pre-creating it in our minds. You activate yourself and you trigger yourself. You put yourself in this state of activation. So this little mind trick I just came up with is a really good way of switching that off. Thank you, yoga. So instead of thinking something happened or something's gonna happen, you can just do that little simple shift to something came up, or maybe something will come up. Because the idea of something coming up doesn't have the negative connotation the way that something happened does. This is a perfect example of how important changing perspective is. I just saw a quote recently that said, water the flowers, not the weeds. In other words, focus on the positive and not on the negative. What you water will grow. What you pay attention to grows. If you pay attention to the negative thoughts and negativity, that's what you're going to experience. If you pay attention to positive thoughts and positivity, that's what you're going to experience. So it doesn't matter if I think something came up or something happened in terms of what actually happened. The facts are the facts. And the fact is, he decided he was running so late that he opted not to come. For me, worrying about the future or living into the wreckage of the future did me no good. I don't think I understood I had a choice about my thoughts before recovery, or that I didn't have to believe my thoughts just because I think them. Now I understand I actually do get to choose my thoughts. Maybe on some level, back then I thought I was preparing for the future, but really I was preparing for disaster. And I realized that if I'm not living in the present moment and living well in the present moment, I'm much less likely to have a well-lived future. And that catastrophizing is not helpful to me. It is not helping me be prepared for the future. It's wrecking my future. Living into the wreckage of the future. And the same is true not just of future thinking, it also applies to rumination about the past, where you play over negative incidents over and over in your head. I used to do this all the time. That does the same kind of thing to our bodies as living into the wreckage of the future, where it puts you in that fight or flight mode. And it's not like you're going to play that out and all of a sudden one day your life is going to be different because you had a different outcome in your mind. You can't change the past, but you can change what you think about the past. You can reinterpret things in a more positive light. But replaying negative incidents repeatedly is a way to stay stuck in the negativity. It's kind of like beating yourself up over and over and over again. Now, these mind shifts that I'm talking about are so important, and you have the ability to make them yourself. So remember, the next time you start replaying a negative event over and over and over in your mind, stop it. And if you want to reframe it to something positive, try thinking, the universe is for me, not against me. So how could this possibly have been for me and not against me? And that will help you reframe it. I'll give you an example of how I just used this recently. I had this situation with a few different friends, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I was really upset about it. And I went, wait a minute, the universe is for me, not against me. So if this situation was for me rather than against me, how could that be? And I realized, one, it could be the universe is making room for me to have more amazing friends, or it could be I'm going to have some frank conversations with my friends and become a little bit more intimate with them and have an even more amazing friendship with them than I already have. So that's an example of how you can apply if the universe is for me, not against me thinking. When it comes to something in the present or the future, try something came up instead of something happened, or something's going to come up instead of something's gonna happen. It will give you much more peace of mind. If you're looking for additional help on thought work like this is the kind of thing I do in my coaching practice. And I just published a piece on medium.com called How to Upgrade Your Life by Improving Your Thought Life. It gives several other suggestions to improve your thought life. May you be well, may you be at peace, and may your thought life be serene. That's it for today. Please share this episode with anyone who might find it helpful. If you like what you've heard here, you might be interested in private coaching with me. If that sounds like you, then head on over to barbchat.net, or you can get on my calendar for a free 20-minute consultation to help you make lasting changes in your life, like I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change, but I'll coach anyone who wants to be happy, joyous, and free. So if that's you, then go to barbchat.net and get on my calendar. I'd love to chat with you. Please like and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. This helps other people find me. Thanks for listening.